going. Why does this happen now every week when we start the show? It just crashes.
Stream offline is dead.
Why does this keep
Stream
happening?
offline.
I would love to have one episode where we don't have a major catastrophe.
I would love to have $1 million in my account without doing anything. So.
All right, I've made a marker. We're still going.
Let's see. It says stream is offline.
Yeah, you get your thing out. Your
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Play a little song while we're waiting for it to come back on. I feel left out.
That's playing some music here with homemade instruments. Yeah.
Oh man!
All right, we had our own intermission music.
Yes,
I think we're back.
That was good. That was good.
So
Glad we were all rolling on
that.
that.
Let's make from now on, in any stream, whenever it goes down, someone picks up their own handmade instrument and just
that works.
Play
for
some
me.
music.
There we go.
At least we'll annoy Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, the algorithm.
YouTube will probably still ding us saying, "Oh, sorry, that was Sigur Rós."
Yeah.
that was
copyrighted.
Yeah. All right, we're back online. Yeah, so Ri-Fi actually drove down with us as well. We met a lot of people there. We saw some old friends, some new friends, and it was a lot of fun. So that was that was a great weekend, and we hope to do many more of those coming soon. Lots of great meetups.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Also
all
wanted
about the people. It's all about the people. That's it.
And again, it was our first Mograph.com thing. We're going to be switching over the live stuff to Mograph.com pretty soon. We'll still be streaming on both platforms for a while until we know that everybody's moved over their subscriptions and whatnot. We'll talk about that more when it happens. But the live part of it will be switching soon. Also wanted to say that the Slack is open for one more day. One more day. We've had some new people in there.
Just close it.
It's automatic,
because
dude.
by the time... Oh, okay.
It's automatic.
One more day for the people who are live, right?
For the people who are live. Or if you just happen to catch this tomorrow morning, you could probably still get in on
as long as Dave edits it and gets it up to you by Tuesday.
Yeah,
If he forgets if it's Wednesday, sorry, guys.
Yeah. And what else did I say I wanted you to mention when we talked about the Slack? The buttons. Button, who's got the button?
Okay, so we mentioned this, like we've talked about this at NAB a few times, where it's like, oh man, it'd be so cool to have everyone's like avatar, because we don't know what anyone looks like, but we always know what their avatar is, So we went out and we bought a button maker, and so it comes with like 1,000 like template buttons that we can make. So
if you're in the Slack in the live Slack is where you can find the information on how to upload your avatar.
Your avatar, yeah. So basically, if you're going to be at NAB and you want a little button that's going to show your avatar, you can just send it to us too. You can email it to us, brograph@brograph.com.
Yeah.
And then we'll make you a button that we can give to you, and then everyone will know who you actually are.
Yeah, because nobody recognizes you by your face.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So
I beg to differ, but
well.
Just because you got that, I mean,
those of us that hide behind our avatars.
Right. Those
I'm hiding as well.
Our avatar names are not actually a part of our face.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm hiding in plain sight, though.
Yeah.
It's very stealthy.
Also wanted to mention that we will have Adam Elder live on this Wednesday for a breakdown. Wednesday afternoon, should be about noon. Same time we usually do the show, but on Wednesday. And also wanted to mention that I have been experimenting with some fun stuff using RealFlow and Turbulence FD together.
I gotta say, so we upgraded to the new 2.6. I don't know when they released 2.6.
It's been around for
we've been
on
version 1
of RealFlow,
because we don't use it that often, right? But we needed some additional stuff for it, so we're just like, let's just upgrade. And 2.6 is sweet, and it is fast too. Like doing I was just playing around doing some like super viscous type stuff, and it is so smoking fast. Like it is nice.
Are you talking about RealFlow, the Cinema 4D plugin?
Yeah. It's excellent.
So what I did this week was I had to make a stream from a fire hose or a fire cannon on a boat, and it had to be blasting this water out. So I started with the water itself to kind of create the stream because the hose is moving around. But then in order to do the mist coming off of it, you know, and all the little particles, because, you know, it's one thing to do kind of a close-up of something like that, but when you're doing it on a mass scale like this, how do you do it? And I haven't fully locked it down yet, but what I was able to do is I was doing some research online, realized that you can take the particles emitter from RealFlow in Cinema 4D, and you can add a Turbulence FD tag to the RealFlow particles. And so you add like a smoke on that, but you make it look like steam, and then you turn the buoyancy negative so that it starts flowing down, and it looks like a mist coming out of those water particles. It's working really well so far. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
By the way, negative buoyancy is gravity.
There you go. Right.
Right. But I guess there's like a default buoyancy to this that you have to turn negative, or else it doesn't. It just starts, you know, going up in the sky. You know, so pretty cool. I recommend messing around with it if you've got both of those. It's kind of fun to do. I think the next thing, I think it might make a good tutorial, is to do a flamethrower that's spitting out fuel and on fire and shooting stuff. Might be my first tutorial on Mograph.com. You never know. So check that out. And then, of course, the new Cinebench is out this week. Noseman, have you played with that yet? Have you spec'd your system with the new Cinebench?
Yes, but because now people need to understand that the scores are actually not tied to the old Cinebench. So, because suddenly my computer became 2 times faster.
Right.
Yeah. When in fact it didn't.
If only that were the case, right?
Yes. Yes. Well, by running Cinebench, your system becomes 2 times faster. That would be, that would be a real deal. But anyhow, they're using all the new technologies because now it supports all these fancy new technology they use in processors and so forth, because the older one didn't take into account, so that you could get wrong results. It doesn't measure any OpenGL anymore because, and the reason for that, I mean, I fully understand that, is that there's so many different configurations now, and OpenGL is only one small aspect of GPU now. Up until a few years ago, it was just your viewport speed. But now when you are assessing a graphics card, you're not assessing it mostly from the OpenGL point of view. You're assessing it from the general computational power it has. So I don't know what Maxon is working on currently, but I do, but I can't say. The fact of the matter is that this is for CPUs. And now it's more accurate, and slowly we're going to start seeing more and more scores coming online. And just hope for people to start using it and uploading their scores, and we'll see. The only sort of limitation currently is that although it's Windows 7 compatible, you do need Windows 10 and some sort of account to go and download it. You can't download it if you have anything less than Windows 10. But once you download it, it is, I don't know exactly how you do that in Windows, but once you do download it, you can run it on a system that doesn't run Windows 10.
There was also an announcement, wasn't there an announcement just this week or whatever, that they're switching entirely over to Windows 10? Like that it won't, that new versions will not run on Windows 7?
Yeah, that was announced.
Well, I mean, even if it wasn't going to happen now, it would happen at a certain point.
Yeah.
It's the unfortunate thing that we, have to follow the technology the way it's going. And if you, Maxon fully understands that there's a user base that still uses older operating systems, but especially for security reasons and modernity, modern things, they do have to move forward. And, they have to, I would say ration their development time and all that. Imagine if we were supporting, Mac OS 9.
Yeah.
XP forever, yo.
Yeah, right. Okay, no, I'm glad. I feel like if you're not on Windows 10 at this point, You kind of
Yeah,
should
Windows
be.
10 was a good upgrade.
It's
It was a good
not.
upgrade.
It's better than 7. I mean, like it's
Better than Vista.
Oh, geez. Well, what's the rule that every other Windows is super bad?
Yeah, Vista and 8.
Yeah,
right?
so Vista. I mean, it goes all the way back to Windows.
That's why they're
Millennium
sticking
Edition.
on 10. They're sticking on 10 and just staying there
Yeah.
and doing slow upgrades
Yeah.
that they force you to do.
I have turned every single auto update I know of off on my PC.
So
I
have I,
haven't.
but for some
I let it
reason
go.
my laptop still decides to update. Still, I have everything off.
No,
My
mine hasn't
desktop's
updated
fine.
for a long time. Yeah, I don't know what the intricacies are. I use my PC mostly as a render slave, and to use my Oculus as well and all that for VR stuff. But other than that, I haven't had an automatic update happen for many months. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but at least I've got things under control.
But you are a Mac person primarily, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Although
yeah.
that is bound to change quite
Yeah.
soon. Especially after Jules, in one of your previous podcasts, sort of promised loosely that I'm going to get some NVIDIA cards my way so I can start testing Octane.
Oh,
But the
yeah?
thing is, I'm missing on the fun because I mostly do things out of the box to show people how to use the product as it is designed from Maxon. So it doesn't really make sense for my line of work to assimilate third-party technologies into my workflow. Although I am a third-party plugin hoarder, there was a time when I would just buy any plugin, and I had this very interesting
Guilty.
encounter.
Yeah, right.
Well, I do have a sense of supporting people. I admire developers that sit there hours, for days and nights to figure things out and make beautiful stuff. So I was going through this phase for many years where anything that seemed interesting, I would just go and buy it. And there are plugins which I have never used a single time, and I even upgraded them. So I paid for the upgrade, although I haven't touched it. And one of the examples was there was a plugin created by Kevin Barnum called Control 4D, which was a plugin that allowed you to control Cinema 4D using MIDI devices and joysticks and stuff like that.
Yes.
And after all these years, I bought it years ago, I met Kevin at the Keyframes conference. It's such a wonderful guy, a new friend, as I say, a wonderful person. And he didn't sell many licenses. I'm not going to disclose the exact
This
number.
isn't Grip Tools. This isn't the same as Grip Tools, is it?
No.
GripTools.io?
I think Grip Tools was an expensive version of that, and he thought he could design something and sell it for less. Control 4D was the name. And anyhow, and I was one of the very few people that bought that plugin, and I met him after all these years, and it's amazing how, I would never have imagined to meet this dude. And it was a random, we started a conversation on a different topic, and he said, "Oh, your email appeared in my inbox list or something. Have we ever talked before?" And this and that. And I said, "I don't remember." And apparently it was because I had bought the plugin and I've got the same email for years.
funny.
So yeah, it's amazing how our paths just come and meet. Serendipity. Which is,
It's
the
a small
topic.
MoGraph world.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's me being large rather than the MoGraph world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that would be
funny.
so great to have something like that built into Cinema 4D. Have those, be able to just pull in interfaces from joysticks
let's
and
put-
Bluetooth and.
All right, let me put it
phones.
out there. Kevin is a really nice guy. He said that if there was interest in the particular thing, he would be willing to spend some time pro bono to update it to the new R20 Plus APIs and even offer it as a free download. So I'm gonna I want to see what he's up to, and I'll post something on my Twitter feed at NosemanGR, and if I have any more information on that. But I don't know. Check it out. Go. I think just search for Control 4D. Maybe his
4D.
website is still. Kevin Barnum.
Okay.
Barnum. And yeah, reach out if you're interested in something like that. Maybe he'll be willing to, just make it open source or something like that. So again, incorporate it in the Cinema 4D world.
Putting that in my show notes too for us to add to the notes.
Yes, I will.
I can find a link to that somewhere. Cool. So let's see. I've covered all of that from the week update. So here, I wanted to read an email and a rant as well.
Okay.
This is Wick Picks. This is Sarah.
Sarah Wycliffe.
From, if you were at, where was it? SIGGRAPH last year or NAB? Did she present at SIGGRAPH?
She was at NAB last year.
She presented at NAB. So she wanted to do a rant on the Slack channel, and she did her rant, and I asked if I could share her rant on the show, and she said yes. So she said, just listen to the latest podcast with Ryan Summers. Something stuck out to me in the whole conversation about Instagram/thought leaders. The drive to do dailies and have a strong social brand. Do people really do this just for likes and fame? I find it hard to believe. I think people pursue Insta-fame thinking that it will help them get work, i.e. more notoriety, more desirability, equals more clients/opportunities. Ryan goes on to say that one of the reasons there will never be a union is because there's such an abundance of work and so many opportunities for people to increase their rates. There's no need because we have plenty. And also that Insta-fame doesn't really mean much in terms of hireability. I don't disagree with the last sentiment there regarding the abundance of work. But would as many of us feel the pressure that we do to post online to get more work or higher paying work if our working standards weren't so god-awful? To me, the appeal of commanding a higher rate, and this is something Joey talks about in his book, is the ability to work less, because a typical workday is between 10 and 12 hours plus. Meals are eaten at desks. In a typical TV production, it's just expected that you don't see daylight. It sucks the life out of you. Mm-hmm. Doesn't this horrid lifestyle explain why we all want passive income and higher rates? Because a typical workday is stressful AF and makes you hate life. I am personally trying to limit my exposure to those kinds of jobs these days, but I will say the desire to be treated like a human being is largely what motivates me to hustle and work remotely, because working on site, in my experience, is an invitation to be treated like shite and have it be normalized. I know it would be nearly impossible to organize our industry in its current form, and I'm saying that it's a salve, but I do think the lack of standards directly affect the culture we're seeing play out online, which is largely an explosion of cool work by awesome artists that keeps all of us motivated, but also makes a lot of hardworking folks feel needless pressure. End rant.
Yeah.
I need to increase my font size pretty soon. I'm getting to that age. Having trouble reading.
Goal, man.
All right, Noseman, you haven't been on. I don't know if you've seen the last couple episodes or not by any chance, but
not
just
whole of them.
Yeah,
not whole of them, but
just from an outsider's perspective of that rant, tell me what you think about that and working standards.
Well, first of all,
and Instagram.
yeah. Well, I'm not on Instagram, okay, because it's too much for me to handle. My old brain is still stuck on corded phones, right? So I'm of a previous generation. Mobile phones are still a novelty to me. So anyway, back to the conversation. I come from a different continent, and I come from a country which is, I would say, I'm going to put it in air quotes, more in certain areas, especially in business, close to, let's say, third world countries. Okay.
So wait, so where are you from again?
Greek. Okay. I'm Greek. Yeah. So I was born in Greece.
Everybody drink.
So stay away from ouzo. Okay, it's really bad.
Ouzo for Tuzo.
The thing is that I have a different perspective. And what I do see is that, especially in the United States, you're very lucky to have been living in a country with plenty, despite its problems as a society, because every society has problems, because every society has humans, all right? Let's not forget that. You have been blessed with being in one of the most beautiful countries and some of the best opportunities that are in front of everyone. And what I've seen is a lot of people lose sight of that. That's why my main topic for today is serendipity. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of things you were born into, where in other places you have to fight, not to achieve, but to be closer to that. And just to give you an example, my grandma's village in 1985, we had to walk a mile to get drinking water. At 1985, no electricity. And her oven was a hole in the ground, burn wood, put the pot, cook it. Mm-hmm. Great food, by the way. The chicken pan, eggs right from the chicken's bottom. We used to eat the egg raw. You pick it from the chicken, punch a hole, drink it. That's how fresh.
Oh man!
But
sounds delicious.
that was 18th century United States, and that was in 1985. So I had some of the best life experiences, the best times of my life as a kid when we were visiting my grandma, because we lived in England the first years. My parents had immigrated. And because Greece had political unrest. Mm-hmm. So all these things which you as a country haven't been through the last 150, 200 years, they were the reality of countries like Greece, southern Italy, and a lot of other countries in Europe. We shouldn't forget about that. So what happens now is that we are viewing things from a very cut-off point where we're born into this, I'll call it luxury, because I understand that no one's life is easy, okay? Life is difficult by default, and we're all going to die, so let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So we need to see things in terms of our satisfaction as artists and as, freelancers and businessmen and all that, businesswomen, business people, to be more inclusive. We need to remember that we are starting from a very high level. A human existence by itself is a different thing. It's a difficult thing. We are born into a dire situation from the minute we come into this world. And there's a very small part which is called, I want to be a successful motion graphics artist. And the only reason we can contemplate that and call it a problem is because all the other problems we have are solved by default. So that's the philosophical thing, that what we're going to talk about is a very small part of, the whole survival thing of humans, okay? Mm-hmm. So let's now take that very little small thing, that luxury everyone here that's on, that's going to watch this show, and I'm not going to say all, I don't like to generalize, but the vast majority of people that are going to watch this, if your problem is how to feel more like a valued artist when you're working, that is a luxury. Okay, it's not a right; it's a luxury. Mm-hmm. We have to see it from that perspective. And what I have to say is that there is no wrong or right. It's one of those weird things that you can take the two extremes of this very little bit. I'm doing this because it's so small. What we're discussing now, we can take both extremes of it, and although they are extreme compared to each other, they're this close to each other. They belong in that little exception of society we belong to, okay? Because we're mostly healthy, we're mostly well-fed. I need to go on a diet, and all that. And yes, they're all valid points, because if you see it from a, from your own point of view, we can't always look behind us and say, or see how other people are living and say, I'm very privileged, so I'm not going to deal with this. No, we have to deal with the things that are in front of us. And the rant you read is a very sane argument. It has some very sane points. Mm-hmm. Now, let's isolate that and discuss that alone. Work is hard. Okay, when we're working, the essential thing we're doing is we're exchanging life for money. That's what we're doing.
Right.
Nothing else. We're exchanging life for money.
Your time.
Because that's the only thing we will never get back if I get paid $1 billion every microsecond, that does not mean I will live a microsecond more than I would have anyway.
Right.
Well, it depends.
So,
if you can afford the amount of money to put your
better
health insurance.
Yeah, better healthcare. I mean, I assume that we all have a level of healthcare which is better than what we had 80 years ago, when you could die from you know, a toothache.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That was brought to my attention not so long ago.
Yeah.
80 years ago, they would pull your tooth out with a pair of pliers, no anesthesia or anything like that. And if you didn't get, you know, sepsemia after 2 weeks of terrible death, I love this podcast. It's all like grim and dark. but these are the things. All right. So we're all at a pretty good level. Being here and having the opportunity to sit down and listen to whoever this Noseman guy is for an hour or so is a luxury. So yes, we want to be treated better, but we're still exchanging life for money. Now it's up to us. It's up to us. There's no general rule, in my view.
Time is the currency that you own, that everybody only has a fixed amount of. Exactly.
You can't save it. Now there's no interest. There's no, it goes on. Now the time that goes on, you can choose to do other things. So all we do in our lives is exchange time for something else. Okay. And a part of it now is exchanging time to create stuff for other people, sometimes for nonsensical reasons, marketing, advertising, and all that. But we have to compartmentalize it and be happy with what we're doing. So I'm gonna take a little extension to what we're talking about. And what I would say is the following thing: don't undercut yourselves. All right, that does no one any favors. Okay, no one. It's going to come back to you. If you undercut to get a project, it's going to come back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, if you can't get the business, if you don't undercut, then the only thing you can do is coordinate with people. One of the big things when they talk about unionizing and all that, it does have a lot of positives, but it has a lot of negatives as well. I believe that most of the people in our industry have the capacity to understand the values without falling into the culprits of unionizing. And we have to be patient, and we have to work together. I know it sounds a bit like wishy-washy, and but it is a fact. There's no other way. We can undercut ourselves until we are paid the bare minimum for us to survive, and we're going to change careers. Something I actually went through, not myself. I'm lucky, right? A big part of the things I'm happy of is I've been a lucky person in my life. But I have seen colleagues that worked in high-paid positions in advertising agencies back in the 90s. You could make a lot of money and just party all day, basically. That was the general concept. And as I've said in the past, they became yoga instructors and real estate agents and so forth because of the demise of money in the industry. And but on the other hand, this is what has happened again and again and again in industry, and it's never going to stop. So we can't complain about the wave. It has a direction, and sometimes that wave will lead in ways we can't control. Control is an illusion we have about life. We don't have control. Okay, if a meteor falls on my house, there's nothing I can do about it. Highly unlikely, I would say. But so yes, there's a valid point. We should demand, again in air quotes, we should demand to be treated better. We should learn how to negotiate, and that's a big point I picked up from Christo. There's, public speakers, that motivational speakers like Chris are kind of controversial, which is a good thing. Controversy brings discussion and solutions, even for problems we haven't thought of yet. So, but he brings up some amazing points. One of them is we don't know how to negotiate. You guys talk about taxes, you talk about incorporation, you talk about this and that. I haven't seen or heard any podcast that talks about negotiation. And negotiations can be financial negotiation, or what kind of, how do you want to work? I've recently had a client that asked me to do a very particular thing, and I asked for an astronomically high amount, and they turned me down. Thank you very much. No problem. That should be the normal flow of things. If someone can get the job and get paid less, congratulations, you know. They can call me and I can help them as well. But that's the only way you can go forward. And again, I do understand that some people's situation is more dire, okay, I'm going to use that strong word, than other people, and they have less of a capacity to pick and choose. That's within the boundaries of our little, you know, comfort, the lives we are living. And we have to get into terms with the reality of our situation. Okay, but some people are better than other people. You know, I know that because I'm the least talented person. Pretty much the whole list here. Everyone's going to watch this. Everyone I've ever, you know, dealt with in the industry. I am terrible at creating art. I do have a certain talent, or at least I can pretend I have a talent, and that keeps me afloat. And people are willing to pay for my services for whatever I convince them that I'm capable of. And that's my talent. That's my talent. I don't even, you know, I don't even consider myself that good. I'm good at convincing people that I am of a certain level, and that is part of my negotiating process. And I've lived, you know, I've lived for many years being jealous and envying people that were doing better than me, and it was 150% my fault, because it's easy always to point fingers. Anyway, to kind of bring this back, because it's what I would say if I was to give any advice is, we are a small community, okay? That plays in our own hands. We can have, if we wish to do so, we live in an era where everyone can be in touch with everyone. It's up to us to do it in the right way. It's up to us to collaborate in the best possible way for the best possible outcome. And the best way to make more is to share. No one can do everything by themselves, right? No person is an island, okay? We will need to extend a hand and ask for something. And the more you're willing to extend your hand at people that are asking from you, the more you will receive a hand when you're asking for other people. And that's the only philosophical framework I can think of that can work in our industry, because as technology becomes faster, smarter, let's call it smarter, and all that, a lot of the things we used to do and make money of are going to be eliminated. And I'll give you a real life example. When I started, when I first touched Adobe Illustrator in '87, then at that time, in order for you to take some text and stretch it vertically, you had to use a tilt shift lens on this huge camera, which was a 3 by 3 feet vertical camera, and create a distortion. And then you would shoot the original logo, which you went to a typesetting company to print it out for you, and then stretch it and then correct it, and then do an undistortion, use some other lens to undistort it, and put that through the process 3 or 4 times, depending on how stretchy you wanted it. And then suddenly Adobe Illustrator came, and a graphic designer back then that did a lot of stuff by hand, predominantly by hand, there were no computers, they would charge an arm and a leg literally, so a week's worth of a modern salary just to stretch out a logo. Just for, because it was a process that involved 3 different studios, 3 different companies. One was the designer himself, the other one was the typesetting that set the original text, and the third one was the photographer. And these 3 had to work in unison to produce that one stretch thing. So you could charge a lot of money because the money was being diverted in 3 different, you know, people, 3 different companies.
Like to do the intro to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right? Make it go into outer space, all the text.
Exactly. So even that's even more advanced. And I'm talking about the most basic stuff. You wanted a business card this big, and you wanted your name to be stretched. Right? That was 3 companies had to work on that with very expensive computers and a lot of time and photographic material and, you know, chemicals and all that. Suddenly Illustrator came and Laser Writer, and what you had to do is just write it, print it, write it, stretch it, scale it, and then print it this big, and then just shrink it down. Was ready.
And that was it.
And for a brief amount of time, I would charge the same amount of money that the other people would. And the advantage was that you can get it in 2 hours instead of 3 days. So but then suddenly everyone can do it. So the people that used to do this for a living went out of business, or changed business, or adapted. And this is going to happen. It happened in the past. It's happening now. It will happen in the future. You can go nuts, not wanting to follow the flow, complaining about automatic rotoscoping tools and whatnot. It is going to happen. It is going to happen. A big part of what we're doing now is going to be replaced by machines. But as humans...
Hey, if they can take over rotoscoping, I'm completely okay with that.
Well, you are, but there are people that make a living just doing rotoscoping.
Rotoscoping, yeah.
Okay, unless they adjust. In Greece, so this is a little anecdotal story. So there was a big machine, it was by Linotype, a German company, and it was a typewriter. The newspapers had it, and you would write your text, and it will put a negative letters coming down from a huge kind of a tray of letters, and then it will pour molten lead, and then you would take the whole slab. So that was the precursor to phototypesetting. It was actually a little factory, okay, with fire, steam, smoke, and someone typing on this massive keyboard that had all the letters and all that. And in one clean swoop, phototypesetting came out, and these guys lost their jobs. One of them was a friend of mine, which happened to be my accountant when I was in Greece. And he's one of the people that types. I haven't seen anyone type so fast while he's having a conversation about something else.
Right.
Okay? So what they did, their union was so powerful because they worked for newspapers that they managed to get a government retirement plan, regardless of their age. He got his pension when he was 22. He still receives it up to this day, and he's 62. Because they managed to convince the government back then that our work, our art is non-existent anymore, and we can't do anything else. And their union was so strong, and these things do happen in my old country, and they have been, receiving pension for the last 40 years, ever since. Of course, I'm not saying that things need to go that way, but this person. He adapted. He became a typesetter because he could type very fast. And then he thought, well, why don't I go to accounting school? And he became an accountant. And his main selling point was that he could write an account sheets. What are they called? Those are the number sheets with the numbers.
A balance sheet or something?
The balance sheet, yeah. He could write a balance sheet so fast that he got a lot of business. So he combined his ability to type very fast from his previous art, his previous talent, to this new thing, and he was in business while he was receiving his pension. That's another side story. But what I'm saying is that things do move forward, and we are humans. We have different perspectives on things, and what I consider a good income, other people consider a low income or a high income. The general advice is try not to undercut. Be in touch with people. Don't be afraid to call a friend or a colleague and say, this is the business. How much shall I charge? What is your suggestion? And we have to be open to our own error of judgment.
Yeah.
And unless this happens, then it's just going to be a world full of rants, and that's it. And as far as Instagram is concerned, well, it's not bad. It's not bad. We see other people's work, whether we can do it or if we feel bad about not doing it. I mean, please, everyone, all right? I'm talking to everyone now, okay? Everything you do is like light years better than what I can ever do in my life in terms of art. I don't feel this much bad about it. Number one, I talk to you and I can help you, so I get part of the credit. See, so I've worked it in my positive outlook. And I feel proud of every single person that does nice things. I'm an admirer of when people do nice things. And, if you can make someone's extreme ability to create extremely good art as a goal to move towards, because achieving a goal sometimes is, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense, but moving towards a goal It's what gives you more satisfaction in life. The fact that you're moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, we do need a change of perspective. We do need some an understanding that we live privileged lives, all of us. And the last thing, which I haven't touched upon, is luck. Everyone seems to forget that serendipity plays a big role in what we are, where we are, how we are. And we take everything for granted. We take everything for granted. We live in a relatively stable society where there is, compared to other generations, an abundance of opportunities. We belong to a group of people that actually we were not put in this profession because of need or because we inherited it from our families. We came in voluntarily. So we belong to that very narrow group of people that have chosen more or less what we are doing. That is one of the biggest blessings anyone can have. Whether you get paid a lot of money or even more money, okay, I'm keeping it up there. The fact that you're doing what you like, even if you like it just this little bit, it's much better than, blue collar workers screwing screws. And we may feel that way sometimes. But when I was picking cotton with my late grandfather, barefoot, in his little field, in plastic bags, and I was actually enjoying it, I understand that there is a difference. I've actually done that. I'm not just saying it. I picked cotton with my hands. Okay, that was his main income. And, the fact that I was in nature, breaking open a watermelon in Greece that grew next to the cotton field from the excess water. They always planted some watermelons and melons and all that. And I took huge satisfaction from that. And now I compare it to the way people see, their own, let's say, success, which is not as high as they expect it to be. I'm like, get some perspective. We're having a good time. Most people I meet in the shows, I'm not meeting everyone, but, we are lucky people. We're lucky to be here. We are a good group of friends. Yes, there is competition. Things don't always work out exactly as we want them to, but we need some perspective. And the last thing I want to add is that we deal with a profession that, in all its levels, has either some artisanry, some level of skill you need, or pure art. Okay, so we're on that level where everything everyone does either is very specialized. So it's like knitting. It's very, very fine and has technical details and so forth. We put things together. We make worlds. We make all these little things, and then we go all the way up to the great levels of artistry, and people make fantastic things. All that, despite how far the bottom seems from the top, is art. We are part of the very few people on this planet that through our work, we're actually doing interesting things, pretty things. We put things together. So, that's where I want to end this kind of positive rant. We need perspective. We're in a good place. Other people a bit less, other people a bit more. And we have to work together. We have the ability to do so. We have the mentality to do so. I haven't met a single person from the industry which is like, whatever. No, everyone is pretty much positive, and we need to just start working closer together and see each other's success as a drive and not as a detriment to do things. So,
well, yeah. I think there's a lot of expectation. I think that's some of it too. There's a lot of and not necessarily
by whom?
Not necessarily correct, but in general, there's a lot of expectation as to if you want to be a motion graphics player of some sort, that you just have to do A, B, and C, and you're going to make it. And that's why this luck thing falls into play. When I see somebody like, I was on tour with Oprah, And a lot of the speakers, it was kind of this recurring theme is, oh, well, it's just about what you put out into the universe. And if you just do all of those things, you'll be just as successful as me. No, well, I'm sorry, but not everybody is going to become a billionaire like Oprah. It's very easy to look back at your long path all the way from the beginning and say, well, all I did was just stick to it and I made it. You know, if you just stick to it, you'll be a billionaire too. That's not true. Maybe you'll be successful, luck. But that's exactly. There's the luck factor that they're not putting into that.
Yeah, but we're not. You know, we haven't evolved to take that into consideration. That is a thing we have to force ourselves to understand. Don't forget about that at all. So, you know, as human beings, we have you know, we're still just the primates. Okay, and we're kind of a chromosome apart, like, you know, a couple of molecules better than chimps. All right, so let's not forget that. That's a big advantage compared to chimps, but that's still the difference. We still have a lot of animal urges, and we're not robots. We're not, you know, purified space beings. No, we live on our passions.
Speak for yourself.
What I have to say, what I'm saying is, you know, we sometimes we forget that the same instincts that allow us to do art in its totality, all these abstract things that don't really make sense, it's the same things that make us imperfect, and that's why we can't wake up every day being like, oh, I feel so nice that I didn't die in my sleep. We're past that. There was a time when waking up in the morning and not being eaten by something was the biggest pleasure.
Right.
Okay, that's not the case. What we need to do is, with measure, we need to just reintroduce that and just, you know, be grateful for the fact that we are here. We have better choices than the majority of people on this planet. And take it from there and move forward. And if you can make better of your day and exchange the particular day we're going through with a bit more value, then yeah, we had a successful day, and now we're closer to death. Yeah, you know, don't forget that. Yeah. And I would say, don't stop listening to Oprah and Chris Do and Joey and all that. No.
It's all about what you take out of that. In my opinion, you know, you've got a lot of these, you know, inspirational speakers and stuff like that, and really that's what they do. I mean, look at us. I mean, we're doing a podcast. You know, we talk about how we run our businesses and stuff like that. But is it the right way? Sometimes. Is it always the right way? Not always.
Sometimes it's right for us and not for other people.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you take everything that you listen to, at least with some of these inspirational speakers, with maybe a grain of salt, or, you know, incorporate like what will work for you in those specific instances, you know.
The biggest part is use it as inspiration. That's the thing. When you read a book, let's assume you read a brilliant book. Okay, you're neither going to transport yourself to that place. You're never going to meet the character. It's just an inspiration of how things could have been, were, and all that. It just makes you feel better in the general sense, and that's just about it. That if you have any expectations of reading a book more times and you will transport yourself in that particular book, inside that book, well, you'll be highly disappointed.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with motivational speakers. They're talking truths. They are talking things that can happen and will happen under certain premises. But we need to be, you know, first of all, humbled to our own inefficiencies. Is that the right word?
Okay.
And
That's what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, we need to understand our limitations as humans. You know, I want to run faster than Usain Bolt. I really do. It will never happen.
I think you could do it. I think if you worked really hard at it, you could.
No. I would never be able to do that. I can swim faster than him, so that makes me feel better about myself.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'm starting to doubt myself now at this day and age. But what I'm saying is that does not mean that I don't get inspired by Usain Bolt. You know, there's because I was an athlete back in the day, and you know, I see people that do things and have done things. I will would never be able, I knew I would never be able to do, that doesn't make them any less inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need to take from all this. We need to be inspired. We need to know what can be achieved, but we need to understand our own limitations.
Yeah,
and my rule is that there's the Dunning-Kruger effect, which makes a lot of people think they're better at something than they are.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually a huge and very positive evolutionary adaptation of humans, because had all humans lived within their understanding of their limitations, then you would not, humanity wouldn't have moved forward in any way. So we need to understand that all these things play in our advantage, or our offsprings or our society's advantages. And what I would say is that do things that make you relatively happy. Understand that certain goals are not going to be achieved. And at the same time, understand that there's a good chance that every single goal you have may be achieved. The only problem is that when you achieve all your goals, what's to do then? So it's not always
set a new goal. You always set that goal higher.
Retire, yeah. I mean, that's again one of the things I took away from Chris's talk was, the passive income thing and all that. These are all good things, Now you could always retire and put your legs up and just, just drink and take drugs and eat and die, okay? Or you can
that's what I want.
Okay, there you go. There you go. But at the end of the day, how you choose to spend your days is up to you. What I would suggest everyone does is, so I'm going to say something, but no one quote me on this. Okay, there are a lot of things I would do for free.
This is going to become a quote on the Slack right when you open out.
There are a lot of things I do for free and I would do for free. I pretend I want to get paid, and most times I convince people to pay me. But a big part of my job, if I had a passive income, I would actually do it because the satisfaction of seeing the light on someone's face that understands that concept they couldn't understand, and I trick them into seeing it in a different way, and suddenly they see the light. For me, it's something I live. I experience every day with my son, and this is one of the things. For me, that's the biggest satisfaction I get is when someone says, "Oh, I learned something from you."
When the light bulb goes off.
Yeah, that's it. For me, that's the point where I put my legs up and say, "This is a good day today."
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to find that within yourselves. Would it be when you help someone? Would it be when you did something? Would it be when you inspire someone? Would it be when you talk to someone? When you hold someone's hand? When smile at someone you don't know on the street? You just see someone miserable and you give them a smile and suddenly they light up. That's it. It's as simple as that. But we have to stop complicating our lives. I think we've had it too well for too long, and humans are by design, made to be afraid of things, and the animal and the monster is going to eat us and all that. And we're carrying it in the 21st century. And many times we see bad where there is none. And I would say, just relax. We're alive, okay? Good, hooray! We can all applaud that. Number one, we're alive. We're relatively healthy, okay? Even people that have certain problems with their health, they're relatively more healthy than people 100 years ago or 80 years ago. Okay, so my acid is kicking in now. There you go, Mark. So I would say number one, try something, help someone in the business. Try it. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it again. You will lose nothing by at least once helping someone. Okay, and don't forget to always call people out on favors they owe you. I live on that feeling. I haven't used it much.
Note to self: never ask a favor of Thanasis.
Remember the time you helped me with a tutorial? Now I need you to do a favor for me.
Now I need you to rotoscope this 2-hour-long clip.
Yeah. And the way you're gonna phrase this is the following: "Oh, no problem. Yeah, whatever you want, I'll help you. Just give me all this and that. But one day you'll have a call.
One day I shall come back."
Exactly. And you will have to do what I say. Do we agree?
Works for me.
And you have to say it with a kind of straight face.
Yeah. Like really make them think about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They will probably agree because they don't understand what owing a favor means. The market. There's a great movie, Pay It Forward. Don't know if you've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's an interesting. The concept of paying it forward actually is something I really, really like because I have been a recipient in my life from things that have come around, and it's a really nice thing to be in that lucky situation where the marker has gone around and it comes back to you, and you're like, wow, it doesn't always work. Okay, this is not a Jennifer Aniston movie. Okay, Gerald Butler and all that. No. It does happen in life. The idea that that little thing you put is moving along. Remember those chain mails when someone writes something, a stupid thing, and wait until the email came back to him? That is done for a reason. You know that it takes this huge trip across the internet and the globe, and it comes back to you, and it's like, wow, it went around the world and it came back to me with 250 people signed underneath and whatnot. The same thing happens when you help people. And
right.
The other thing is you need to be honest about the things other people helped you with. Do positive call-outs at people that inspired you, people that helped you, people that sometimes don't even know that they helped you or participated in where you are now. It's a really nice thing. It makes the whole kind of community much more vibrant. It makes things much better. It's all there's no cost at these things. That's the big thing. You will not lose a penny of business if you help someone, because if your business relies on doing that one thing which someone could do had they known about it, then you're in a bad business position to begin with. It's going to end very soon. I'm going to make sure there's a tutorial for that.
All
right. Well, we're going to move to some other emails and circle around back to that, because I think we have some other emails that may touch on those topics as well. Real quick, though, I did want to mention this email that's supposed to help end Matt's rant. Hopefully, we'll see if this helps.
Oh, whatever.
Well, this is what it says anyway. But this is from Joey Sicoline. Yeah, I don't know. The subject is Adobe After Effects versus Premiere Pro performance.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not going to end my rant.
Okay. In hopes of
I'm still going to complain about After Effects.
In hopes of ending the rant on the podcast, asking why After Effects is so much slower, here's an explanation, or at least part of it. There was a great podcast.
Joey, you're still going to hear me complain about it.
There was a great podcast interview 4 or 5 years ago with Al Mooney, who headed up Adobe's video products at the time. But for the life of me, I can't find it now. He spent quite a long time talking about this, though. At the time, they were deep in the transition of bringing Premiere to the current Mercury engine that allows GPU-based glory we experience now. They were weighing in the pros and cons of rebuilding the AE engine and whether or not it makes sense in the same way it does for Premiere. Basically, the most important thing in Premiere is playback. In editing, if you can't play back the footage smoothly, then it's useless, and the most important factor it's the most important factor in the playback engine. Quality can take a hit because it really doesn't matter until the final output goes out. As a result, the Mercury engine in Premiere will leverage the GPU and CPU, but that's kind of useless, to re-encode the footage and effects on the fly in real time, but in a very compressed manner optimized for playback. When it comes to After Effects, their philosophy is very different from that from the start. The most important thing in a compositing app, arguably, this isn't as much the case for animation, is quality. You need to have the ability to see your work at the full, unadulterated quality so that you can make judgments on details down to the pixel level. You also need to be able to trust that what you see on the screen is exactly what the final output is. Therefore, After Effects is always displaying the full resolution uncompressed video, unless you lower it. This is why you can drop a simple video file in and it won't play back smoothly. It can't make the sacrifices that Premiere makes for playback. Playback in AE is still important, but generally you're working with small sections at a time, and RAM Preview enables you to do that playback smoothly at full quality.
RAM Preview doesn't
right.
allow it to.
After it calculates, but it's hard to get there. Okay, as a result of this, most of the performance improvements in AE have been based around better caching. When it comes to cache frames now, it remembers them. That combined with fast solid-state drives allows RAM preview type performance more regularly if most of your comp is cached. In the end, at that time, they decided this was the way to go, focus more on the features than to spend the time rebuilding the engine. I'm not really defending any of this or saying that AE engine couldn't be rebuilt now to do all of this off GPUs and better multi-threading and give us performance more like Premiere while still maintaining full quality. But this is at least an explanation of why they are so different in the first place. Keep up the good work, except people's people.
Yeah.
And then the question,
Thank you. I'll agree with you on that.
Also, when is Slack opening up again? It's open right now. Hopefully you've joined.
Yeah, no, I agree with Ryan, what Ryan just said in the chat. He said, seems like an easy solution to have Mercury engine kick in when viewing anything less than full quality.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question from everyone else's experience? Because being an educator for all these years, I've lost touch with the everyday, burn of using After Effects in production.
Mm-hmm.
So
lucky you.
So
take what how you remember it, however, the last time, and it's still the same.
And no, it's worse.
And that's exactly my point. It is my understanding that not only it's not the same, it's become a bit slower as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer we just heard makes sense if the speed was the same on the same system and maybe a bit faster because of the optimizations of multi-threading. Mm-hmm. It doesn't explain why
Adobe
things have gotten slower.
After Effects doesn't multi-thread.
It's like Liam said in the chat.
So that's what I'm saying.
Liam says I cache everything on an isolated cache solid-state drive, and it's still worse. I get that you RAM preview, and it still can't play the RAM preview. It's like, why not?
Yeah.
So that means that although the arguments were sane, they're actually not what people are seeing. What we would see was good speed in Premiere and the same or slightly better speed than it used to be in After Effects, whereas After Effects has gone slightly backwards. Is that your experience?
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what someone needs to reply to this email. That wouldn't.
But I understand being able to open After Effects and see things pixel for pixel, what they're supposed to look like. But why not have an option to put it into this fast mode so you can get around and do your thing for a little bit and then come back?
Yeah, I mean, they've got so many things. Like you can change it down to quarter resolution when you're RAM previewing. You can skip 2 frames at a time. You can turn on the adaptive playback or whatever, so you can scrub through it. It's like, but this stuff just doesn't work. Like, I don't know.
I think the best case, the only way. So here's the thing: what we're talking about is anecdotal. Okay, we're talking about it's being slower and so forth. What users need to do, and this is something I've learned from my collaboration with Max on all these years. The only way for a proper bug report to be submitted is to create a situation where the two competing, or if they're two arguments, need to be very obvious. So someone needs to load a file on an older version of After Effects, take a stopwatch, record themselves doing that, take the same file, put it in a faster computer or the same computer with a more modern operating system or something like that, and measure it and show them that it's slower. Because a company like Adobe cannot do it. It's not that they don't want to. It's very, very difficult for companies that do development to actually do that type of measuring.
Well, I think my biggest complaint is that like so many things within our industry is moving towards real time and being faster and less render times and stuff, but it's like Adobe has just been like After Effects has just been, it's the same, like it literally will take you the same amount of time, so it hasn't increased in speed at all. Now, the improvements as far as the caching and stuff, I do notice that. Like, I notice that when I go through and cache some frames and then try an effect and don't like the effect and take the effect off, it's nice that I don't lose all that cache. That was a great improvement.
But on the flip side of that, you'll change an image sequence and you'll refresh it, and it still won't let go of that stupid cache.
Yes.
And then you'll go render it, and it will put that old frame from its old cache into your render.
Yeah, so then you have to dump basically the entire cache of everything in order to get that to work correctly.
And sometimes you do that, and it still doesn't dump the cache. That's the frustration.
Premiere does that too.
That will be classified as a bug, and again, this is our responsibility as users. We use our tools. Okay, if we drive our car and we hear a knocking noise, and we're in warranty, and with Adobe, you're always in warranty because you're paying a subscription. Don't forget that.
Right.
Well, it's your responsibility to go to your dealer. You cannot expect your dealer to call you and say, "Oh, we may have a recall or not," because some cars knock or not. We need to understand as consumers, and again, it's not the easiest thing to do when you're working. Okay, we need to see this as a way to improve our own lives is by assisting the people that develop our tools to get a better understanding on their limitations or their problems.
Right.
And unless we, as a community of users, unless we do that, we're just limiting the developer companies' insight into these problems. Yeah. Because sometimes it's in the fine details. Sometimes I've come across situations where a bug is not reproducible, and we need to test it again and again under different circumstances. And then they find the bug and they're like, okay, now we found where it is. It's a very difficult thing to do with these monsters like After Effects, Cinema 4D. They have millions of lines of code. It's not a script I made with 6 lines. Hello, welcome to Python, and I mistyped the word Python.
Hello world. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, even this being our everyday tool, we do have some sort of responsibility towards ourselves and our colleagues when something happens to make the minimum effort to bring this to the attention of the people that are making the product. I understand, again, it's not an ideal thing, but it's something we need to be more active with. Yes, we can expect, we're paying money to Adobe. Yes, you are paying money, and nothing will change. You'll still pay money. If you want to make your life better, you may need to sacrifice a little bit of time to put forth some of the problems and make them aware. And sometimes a single bug comes through, and of course these get sorted by severity or how common they are and so forth. If only one person or 5 people report a bug, it may be very low in the list. Whereas if everyone, that's why the number one thing at the Keyframes conference when Adobe was talking about was, if the crash or something comes up, always send a bug report. You don't have to put your name. You don't, just press the bloody send button. Don't be. I found myself lazy sometimes not doing that. But we shouldn't do that. Maybe it's all my fault. But
I would like to see that comments, the list of comments, because when you submit a bug, you can also put like a comment. Like the F word is probably the most.
But it's your responsibility. You have to let them know how frustrating. So whenever I get on Skype, okay, the product which used to work, and every release it gets worse and worse. Okay, every time I get that pop-up that says, please, can you rate the product? I always put it at 0 and tell them what it's about. I know that no one reads it, but I feel it's my responsibility to let Microsoft know how terrible Skype has become.
And slowly drive that 5-star rating down. I'm sure it's not 5 stars.
No.
But slowly driving the average down,
Yeah.
I wanted to go some Ravcock. What's your flavor?
What's your flavor?
I did want to talk about Aaron Coveret's new render, by the way, because it's freaking gorgeous. If you haven't seen it, what's the name of it? I gotta find the name of it though, because I have no idea the name of it. It is Kingston. Yeah, Kingston's the name. This is Octane. I'll bring it up here on the live stream so people can see this.
Pretty.
Kingston, because that is the name of a subway stop. So this is really great. He's got some scene development stuff on his site that you can check out, which is really cool. You can see the building of that. And man, he's got a lot of close-up shots of the different sections as well. So if you want to check that out, that's really
Super
cool.
nice.
The amount of detail that he puts into things.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, well, I don't even, what is he doing here with the liquid and the...
I don't know.
My
He did
goodness.
something with the real flow.
Man, just absolutely incredible.
Super cool.
So a little, looks like displacement maps. So check that out. You know, his work is just freaking amazing. So, yeah,
Well
that's all I
done,
have to
sir.
say about that. Well done. I also wanted to go to another email real fast and talk about a little bit of octane and hardware stuff. And this is from standby. This is from Tom Witt. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. And the subject is mixed architecture and video cards for Octane / Redshift system specs. It says, hi bros, I'm finishing up the winter session of EJ's School of Motion Cinema 4D Basecamp class.
Cool. Congrats.
Once I'm done with the class, stuff I plan on diving into is Octane Redshift, and I have a couple questions I think you could probably answer. Number one, the cross-compatibility between architectures. Listening to your podcast, it sounds like it may be possible to run a 2080 next to a 1080 in the same system and use both of them at the same time for Octane. Is this the case? Yes.
Yes.
We are doing that. Also, if so, do you have any tips about how to do this properly? What driver do you install? You really don't have to do anything right now.
Yeah.
Now, I think maybe there'll be a change once this RTX stuff happens. Maybe you won't be able to do certain things with all of the cards. Obviously, you know, there's no RTX on 1080s, but does it work in both Octane and Redshift? I believe so.
Yes.
Are you using multiple architectures on Redshift right now?
I'm not.
I'm pretty sure you
But
can, though.
I think you can.
Can you point me to any resources that go into depth on this? I've got an itch to grab a 2080 Ti with my next windfall, and I want to make sure.
Just do it.
Yeah, it works. There's really not anything that you have to do except just install your driver, and you're good to go. So
question, guys. I remember with the 10 series, the best bang for buck, you got it with a 1070. If you ignored the RAM, 1070s had better performance per dollar. Is this the same case?
Per dollar, right?
Is it the same case with the 2070s now?
Might be the case. I don't know.
I don't think 2070 as opposed to 2080 Ti. I think a 2080 Ti is gonna be probably more bang for your buck than 2070 would be, right? But
I don't know.
I mean, I haven't looked at the dollar amounts, but I do know even between the 2080 and the 2080 Ti, there's a pretty big difference.
In terms of performance, you mean?
Yeah.
And it's not only the RAM capacity.
No, the CUDA cores and the Octane bench speed are pretty significant there. So
okay.
I'd have to look and see on that. And then Ri-Fi says get blower editions of your cards. Definitely, if you can do that, get blower editions so that you don't have any heat issues. Of course, unless you're going liquid cool. But number two is computer specs. Have you posted the specs for your Cinema 4D Octane PCs anywhere? I'd love to know what you're running. I followed Grayscale Gorilla's rig updates, and as an aside, it warmed the cockles of my heart to see Nick switching over to PC. I love the Brograph podcast. It's a useful mindset shaper that does a lot of subtle but effective work for the listener. It's been extremely helpful to me as I've evaluated next steps, and hope you continue to find it beneficial to produce the podcast for a long time. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
We do have builds. I'll put a link in the show notes to my particular build. Now, I do have my build working in such a way that I know I'm going to have my render nodes available. You know, if you're somebody who's not going to have your render nodes available, you might want more cards or something like that. But I'll post a link to that. Also, remember Sage's site, the Sagery.
And he just updated that.
Oh, he
actually.
did. He did.
Just updated that, yeah.
What is it? Sagery.com?
The Sagery.com/builds.
The Sagery.com/builds. And he's got this basically laid out to where you can pick what you want to spend. Like, how much power are you looking to put into your machine? How much do you want to spend? Like the dollar menu build. What do you want for cheap? I mean, even mine was only $1,500, and I just, it's a great computer for what it is.
That's 15,
okay, so I just did
American, right? $1,500 US dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 6 million in Canadian, I think.
Right.
So I just did a breakdown of cost per CUDA core per dollar.
Okay.
On the 2070 versus the 2080 Ti.
So
per dollar on the 2070, you get 3.84 CUDA cores per dollar, right? On a 2080 Ti, you get only 3.62. So you get slightly more CUDA cores. If you're not worried about the RAM,
right.
I guess the 2070 would be a better option for getting more CUDA cores.
When that RTX happens, and you've got NVLink.
See, so if you look at this, like how much RAM is in a 2070 versus a 2080 or a 2080 Ti?
I do not know the difference.
I'll keep looking. You keep talking.
Yeah. 8 and 11, I think. 8 on the 2070 and 11 on the.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think they've stuck to 11 instead of going.
This one goes to 11.
31.
Yeah.
But this one goes to 11.
So
11
what happens is that typical motion graphic stuff that doesn't require huge polygon and huge texture counts. It does make sense to go for a couple of 2070s. It will give you much more snappy response time. And if you're working, I think, with Redshift, because it has the out-of-core technology, it does give you a bit of leeway when it comes to RAM. So this was the stuff I was reading about. Although my only investment in NVIDIA is a 1050. So
okay,
I'm still not fully on board the out-of-core stuff yet, though.
The 2070. So the 2070 has 8 gigabytes of VRAM, and the 2080 Ti has 11 gigabytes of VRAM, right? So if you were to buy two 2070s, it would basically equal out the same cost as a 2080 Ti, and you'd get more CUDA cores. And if you NV-linked it, you'd get 5 gigabytes more of RAM.
Right.
But does it work with NV-Link?
Does 2070 work? I don't think it. I don't think it does, actually.
But I don't think you can do any of that yet.
For rendering, you can't do the gaming thing. I think that was one of the...
Oh, you're talking about SLI?
Okay, so this is different.
Yeah,
this is different.
I'm a Mac person, right?
The NV-Link stuff is going to allow you to combine your RAM into one big number, no matter what it is, and it's different than SLI. SLI actually makes
Jules around hidden.
I know, right?
Messages.
There we go. RTX 2070 GPU will not support NVLink.
Okay, there you go.
So
okay,
that's lame. That's just a way for them to get you to spend more money.
But anyway, anyone that works with 8 gigabytes of RAM, because it's only 3 gigabytes difference. Okay. That is something, depending on the type of projects you do, that you have full control over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, if you're going to get a second workstation or something, or a freelance workstation, it just doesn't make sense to spend, you get double the speed essentially, providing that your RAM is less. So this is something I remember reading about the 10 series, and I was wondering if it was the same for 20 series. So yeah, for anyone that's interested in setting up a rig, do investigate that avenue as well. If your graphics are simple and you don't have huge textures and your polygon counts are relatively low, okay, when we say relatively low, I don't know where the break point is.
Couple million
you can double the speed of your GPU rendering by just sacrificing 3 gigabytes of RAM.
Yep.
Yeah, I think to me,
I'm running on 6 gigs right now with these 980 Ti's, and I've rarely ever run into any problems.
I've been hitting walls left and right, and especially some of this stuff I've been working on.
Because you're using that volume builder.
Well, and the stuff that that too. But the stuff that I've been working on with David and stuff, like there's been some walls, and the out of core stuff that doesn't seem to always work the way that it's supposed to for me. I feel like I have issues with it, and my personal thought is that having out of core geometry is an invitation to have inefficient scenes.
Yeah.
That's just how I personally think about it. And so I still try to have efficiency. And even though I know, okay, well, I can easily have a 15 million polygon scene, but maybe that's not the best idea.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah.
I think that's it for. That's it for that section. But some other topics I did want to, Noseman, ask you about nodes. You said you've been working with nodes a lot lately.
Yeah, so I hadn't touched them for a long time. I was focusing mostly on fields and all that stuff. I don't know if you've been watching my Twitter feed at noseman.gr. Sorry, at noseman.gr, no dots, at noseman.gr. And I did a series about growing structures, tentacles, and so forth. I introduced a technique where, while it's still procedural, you can use the surface deformer to bend it on surfaces, so you can create an animated hand and have veins grow on while the hand is being animated.
I saw that.
And all
That's cool.
So, yeah, it was, to be honest, it took me over 2 months to nail the technique to create the growing veins that follow a particular set of rules. Everything else I've seen out there inside Cinema 4D plugins, they couldn't satisfy all the rules. So I got it nailed down. It took me a long time, but it works nicely. And now, although I'm still, preparing some tutorials again with fields and all that, because there's still many things to be exposed and techniques. I'm starting to dive into the material nodes. And my attempts have been with halftone shaders, and creating
as is the
CMYK
style right now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and so my goal is to create a material preset, which is you just apply to any object, and you can have an interface, and you will be able to change it to either black and white halftones. You can change the projection to be UV, so it follows the structure UVs, or it can have a camera projection, so the raster stays on screen and everything goes through the raster. You can change the CMYK angles, the resolution, whatnot. And again, these are, first of all, they're inspired by Chad's and EJ's tutorials about the Spider-Verse stuff, but they've covered that quite well. So I thought I'd make an effort to do something on traditional CMYK with all the artifacts and the moires and all that, and in the process learn more about the nodal system.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate to be working very close to Jonas Pils. He's the dude that does the quick tips for Maxon. If you go on YouTube, Maxon YouTube, they have the Maxon quick tips. Very smart guy and a great friend. So he's preparing something, a deep, very low-level tutorial to explain all the nodes and all that for people. I'm going through his videos now. He's doing an excellent job. And man, these things are powerful. Like,
yeah.
They're
and beautifully built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope they add that to the Espresso system, because
it's just one of those things that, what I've realized in, the years of teaching is that nodes is a scary thing. It reminds me of the Pixar movie Monsters Inc., where monsters are scary, but actually they're strong, they are sensitive, they're cuddly, and all that. So nodes are
easily
like
breakable.
that. And I mean, easily breakable. That when you have like Python, okay, if the most powerful thing is programming. If I start typing random things, it will break.
Yeah.
But if I know what I'm doing, I can do magnificent things. The same. So nodes is kind of there, and the amount of control is like I'm finding it mind-boggling how many things you can do. So in an effort to learn more about nodes, I set my goal to create the halftones. So when I'm very close to be done now. So the project now just needs some polishing and refining, and I'm going to come out with a small series. That's the plan. And whenever you make plans, most of them don't happen. But anyway, so the series is going to be how to actually create them, and in the process see how some of the structures work. At the same time, Jonas is going to publish through University his series that is actually going to allow people to reference various nodes, what they do, and all that. A lot of information there. It's a lot of the stuff I'm doing now is based on what I learned from Jonas's tutorial while I'm reviewing it. So I've got that cheat sheet, always next to me. I'm lucky in that respect. And I'm going to make sure that a preset is available for users, so they can just, anyone that doesn't want to deal with the nodes, you're just going to drop a material on an object. All you have to do is set your projection in your texture tag, and then go and play with numbers and colors and all sorts of other things. So I'm going to make it super intuitive, and anyone that wants to make non-physical based, physically based renders, I've got on my Behance thing, I've got some samples, but those were made with a standard material system using the Loomis shader. Right. So I've adapted some of those techniques and much more, because our system is much more powerful now. It even has an automatic way to split RGB to CMY, and then I can use some mathematical operation to extract the black, because that's how color separation works. Because I come from the world of CMYK, I love this project very much, because I had to bring in all the lost knowledge. I had to dust my synapses, the ones that hadn't died in the process. And it was interesting because, I got the CMY, and I calculated the black from it, and then I subtracted the black from CMY and all that. And those are the things I'm going to talk about, just in case people are interested. And provide a material at the end that's going to allow people to do these things. If you go on my YouTube channel, the one that's called Athanasios Posantzis, you will see I've uploaded 3 videos, or if you go on Twitter, you will see the links to them. And these are sort of what this shader is able to do, and it's controlled purely by lights. So you can have a different halftone controlled by a different light, and I can't even imagine, how anyone that wants to use it, what kind of stuff they're going to make with it. Just makes me exciting. Chad,
Chad's
Chad, are we going to see you in Las Vegas?
Yeah, of course you will. Of course,
you're going to be at NAB.
I am going to be at NAB. I won't be doing any presentations. I'm going to be behind the scenes. I've got some commitments with Future Media Concepts. I'm doing some teaching at the Post-Production World event. I'm going to be assisting probably Chris Priddy, which is presenting with us this year. Very excited. Very good friend of mine. Check him out. Yeah, he's one of my best buddies. I just love that guy.
Y'all at the conventions are like the inseparable pair.
Yeah, sorry about that. So and I'll be on the demo booths around there, just annoying people and all that as usual. And what else? So I will be there. I'll be following the dinners. I have to say, for all those people that enjoyed my rollies, I haven't smoked for 2 months. So I may pick it up again for Las Vegas.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I mean, something about.
Yeah, but if you start it back up, no. The only way to quit smoking is to go cold turkey.
I know. I quit 40 times a day.
I know. I quit like at least 100, over the course of the time that I was smoking. But the only one that ever worked.
Well, y'all talk about that. I'm going to refresh my coffee.
I'm going to tell you. This is the only way to quit smoking. If you're a smoker, you go camping for 3 days. All right, because you got to get away from all the stresses of your life, and you got to detox. Detoxing off of nicotine is the worst. And if you can just go out and be with nature and just chill, you got no stress at all, then you can just detox on your own. You get past those 3 days. The rest of the time will suck, If to get over smoking in the car, buy yourself a harmonica and play the harmonica everywhere you go. That's what I did. I played a harmonica everywhere that I drove, until eventually I got over the need to smoke in the car.
Oh, you have
and then I was done. I've been clean for like 11 years, dude.
Okay, I have one piece of advice and one little story. The piece of advice is that since I quit smoking, my memory has improved significantly. So that is, I don't really sport. I need to start walking a bit more. But man, the difference in my memory capacity, Like I can remember what I didn't remember. So
my
the second
favorite thing was food. Like food just tasted so much better.
I'm a very good cook. My food always tastes well. So number two. So this is a little anecdotal story about the camping trip. Okay, that may fail, and I'll tell you a story. Back in, I think it was the early 90s, I went on a camping trip with a friend of mine to quit smoking for a week up in the mountains. So this is what happened. Some person had gone camping in the same place before us, which was a heavy smoker, and had left a heap of half-smoked cigarettes.
No.
We made pipes out of wood and smoked every single bit. So don't go camping anywhere that someone else has been there. Okay, go to the desert. So yeah, but anyway, I feel great, and see, this is a way to get back some time in life.
Absolutely.
So at least I know I have a few more days to spend with my kid.
Yeah.
Now, based on my name, Athanasios means immortal in ancient Greece. So you know that
away.
I'm going to outlive most of you. And the smoking was a way for me to just keep it real with the rest of you mortals. But anyhow, I'm going to be annoying you for a long time. Anyway,
I quit cold turkey as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta live long enough to put my mind inside a robot body. That's all I want. I tell my kid every day, I just want to live long enough to put my mind inside a robot body.
And what if
I personally think that the Borg had it right. You know.
What's that?
I'm the Borg. You know, all about the hive mind.
Matt,
I'm telling you, if every single person in the world could share all their experiences and all their hate and whatever, we would understand everyone perfectly, and there would be world peace. There's no fighting among the Borg. The Borg, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Matt, can I just tell you, after you're dead, where your conscience is going to go is not up to you. So someone maybe trying to play a practical joke will put you in a sex robot's mind.
Yeah. And you're going to wake up to be like, what am I doing here? What year is this?
Right, so contemplate on that before you release your rights to your consciousness to anyone. Read the fine print.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Okay, the usage.
The last thing I remember is dying, and then you wake up and it's like, hello.
Weird music. Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
It's like on Futurama, the robots.
Yeah. I'll never forget you, Fry. Memory deleted.
Yeah.
Man, that's good.
So so we talked about NAB. How was Keyframes in Florida?
Oh, fantastic. FMC put on a great event, and Maxon and Dell were sponsors, and Adobe and all that. We had a kind of a sneak preview and Adobe stuff, which we signed, and everyone else signed an NDA. I didn't, but I'm not going to talk about it today. So and it was, again, the most important part is that sense of community, because you got a lot of people getting together again. I saw some excellent presentations. I did a few excellent presentations myself. Just let's not forget about that. And we went to the theme park, and I tried
Disney
that.
World? Did you go to Disney World?
Not Disney World.
Universal.
Anyway, so I was the only one that went to that, or one of very few people went to the Hulk, the thing that goes like. It was the most underwhelming thing I ever did in my life. I feel more adrenaline when I'm sitting on my office chair. I was angry. I was angry after it. The only adrenaline, I took my pulse, and it was the same pulse I have right now. Nothing.
But that's the thing. It's supposed to make you angry like the Hulk.
Right.
Yeah, but for all the wrong reasons. I realize what it is, though, because health and safety is of the utmost importance. I didn't even feel that I was falling off my seat. So they've calibrated these roller coasters so well that even when you're doing those weird loops, you're always firmly stuck in your seat.
Right.
Whereas when you feel that you're falling out of your seat, that's where your adrenaline rises. Where you're like, oh, what's going on here?
Maybe for you, I get a thrill out of going upside down and going fast and stuff.
I get zero thrill. I
got
get
a
a negative
thrill
thrill.
waiting. So
Yeah.
the thrill was waiting 50 minutes in a queue, and then
50 minutes isn't bad
angry,
for a ride like
walking briskly. Yeah, it was the last ride I went. Because it was
Oh,
the
okay.
day. I was walking briskly towards Matthias to express my anger because I had all my friends waiting down there for me to go on this ridiculously lame ride. I don't know. I just, I had this hope for, let's go. It's going to be a bit scary. Everyone's like, no, I'm not going there. And it just made me angry. Maybe that's the point. You wait for a ridiculously long time, go into this underwhelming thing, expecting some adrenaline, and you're so angry at not getting any that you get an adrenaline rise.
Yeah.
Did you ride the
Noseman Smash?
The Harry Potter rides?
No. Actually, the really good ones were the ones where you wear 3D glasses. So the Spider-Man thing,
Spider-Man was
I love
good,
them.
yeah.
The production value and the Jurassic Park, the production value of those is amazing. I loved it.
Are do you wear 3D on the Jurassic Park one?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
One
I
of the
haven't
Jurassic
ridden that
Park
one.
ones, yeah. Really, really nice. That I enjoyed very much. I didn't expect to enjoy that, but I enjoyed it very much. And the thing is, the production quality was very high. The animations were really good, and the
I'm watching the Incredible Hulk ride right now. I got to see what you're talking about because
it looks scary, and it's like whatever.
I'll say it immediately flips you upside down.
Yeah, and then it flips you again, and then it flips you again, and then it dies.
Whatever. You're just like, oh, I'm so tough. Oh man, I'm getting tense just watching it right now.
By the way, it's like a minute or 50 seconds or something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's every ride. That's a lot of these thrill rides. We go to Disney World quite often. And the Barnstormer, the Goofy's Barnstormer, it's 47 seconds. It's great.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So quick.
Yeah. What a waste of time. See, that's what I consider a waste of life.
Nah.
Yeah, going to the, expecting something from the Hulk. Oh, I'm exchanging 1 hour of my precious life for 45 seconds of adrenaline.
Ride. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, whatever. You kids, you want to ride, you go to the Alton Towers Nemesis back in '92 before it had the accident, and that's
what was the accident?
It was the first. Well, I don't know. Something happened. Someone
died. Nobody died.
Anyway, it was the first hanging roller coaster, and that was intense.
Yeah,
that was intense. Yeah.
Yeah. They've got the Batman ride here at Six Flags over Texas, and your feet dangle. And that one's probably my favorite ride ever, because it's super fast.
Someone told me to go to a wooden one.
Oh man,
in Mexico.
Those ones hurt.
In Mexico.
Texas Giant is Texas Giant still around?
Texas Giant is still around, but it's built wooden, but the rails are actual rails now, so it's super smooth. Of course, some kid died on that because he fell out.
Someone said that in certain cities in Mexico, they have these very old ones where you have a good chance of dying, and that will raise your adrenaline.
Yeah.
See, that's a cost benefit analysis I need to do because I have a kid. So yes, the adrenaline is fine, but yeah,
I stopped doing stupid things with my mountain biking when I had a kid. Before my kid was born, I was trying some pretty dangerous trails. And I pulled that back a bit.
Yeah.
I want to break my neck. That would suck.
Like motorcycle or bike, the thing you do with your legs?
Mountain
biking.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Actually, if you're doing a good course, like an easy course, it's not dangerous at all.
Dumb. It's too tiring.
Good exercise.
Exercise and like adrenaline.
Forget it. Exercise, or listening to music and riding through the forest on your bike.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Good recreation.
Stephen in the comments says, my very best thrill ride was in an F4. Well, I salute you.
A tornado?
Yes. It's an airplane.
That's
it's
EF.
Airplane.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, too, the Maxon Labs page, they announced this GLTF, or the GTFO exporter, as I call it.
GTFO.
Yes. Now, I'm not really up to speed with that kind of technology. It's that online 3D thingy that only Facebook, but it's becoming a much more popular format.
I've messed with it a little. But...
Yeah, and I think they just updated it, and it's in active development, and following through, and a lot of people are very happy. So anyone that does real-time graphics for these platforms, especially Facebook, go download it, give your feedback and all that, and it's one of the many efforts besides the main development of Cinema 4D that Maxon is putting emphasis to training and creating plugins for Maxon Labs and all that. So yeah, try and follow these things and let us know what you think. Comment.
Yeah, I tried this at one point. Not this plugin. I just tried taking a model and running it through some third-party something that I found on the internet. I couldn't get any textures to work with it, so be interested to try this. Why are people using this right now, I guess is my question.
I don't think I know anything about this. What is it? They were showing it off at the Signal
basically
thing,
putting a model inside of Facebook.
Yeah.
Uploading a model.
Okay.
You know?
It's like WebGL, whatever, the 3D stuff, but it's an open format, and I haven't checked out the details, but it seems to be one of those emerging things that will allow people to put 3D content, live 3D content, which is sort of interesting.
It'll probably somehow meld with like AR or something eventually. I feel like, being able to have just these models that you can plug into AR stuff. And
I'm still a fan of RR.
What's that? Real
reality.
Real reality.
Actually touch things. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about. Well, I only have one link for the links today.
Do we need to do the theme song?
Well, I mean, I'll put it in after the fact, of course, but. This is actually something that I haven't had time to watch yet. I opened it and kind of skimmed through, and I was like, I really want to check this out. Chad Ashley posted this. This is the Houdini 17.5 launch event. And I don't know a lot about Houdini, but I did notice like something they have, like this calculation thing with this grid of dots that's supposed to optimize calculations. I don't know. I don't know anything about it yet. I just saw a couple snippets and I'm like, you know what? I want to sit down and look at this because I really want to learn me some Houdini eventually. And this 17.5 is happening. I need to sit down and take a course. So, but looks pretty good. And then I wanted to go to, we've got two more emails actually. This one is from Matthias Vandenbosch. I hope I got that right. I believe he is actually watching live right now. Subject, podcast questions, and show idea. Hey guys, big fan of the show here. Great work. Keep it up. Wouldn't it be great to have Simon Homedal as a guest for the show? Yes, it would. And in 2 weeks, he's going to be on the show. So make sure you stay tuned for that. If you ever want to go see who we have lined up, you can go to our site. And check it out in the extra section, or you go to brograph.com/schedule. I think it'll show who we have in the lineup.
Cool.
As a topic idea, I'd love to learn some crazy good shortcuts for cinema. I recently started working on a Windows machine myself, and now have a keyboard with some macro keys. So it would be great to learn some new shortcuts that I can link to these keys. And sorry for my bad English, not my native language. Pretty good though. So,
cool.
Noseman, what are some of your favorite shortcuts in Cinema 4D? What do you use for shortcuts?
1, 2, 3, of course.
Well, yeah.
ERT.
ERT, 1, 2, 3. S.
UZ.
S is great.
S and O. You know the difference between S and O?
I did at one point. What does O do again?
Object. It zooms in the object. So if you have point selected, S will fill your screen with a selection. O will the whole object.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah.
S and O.
So,
selection and object, right? Okay. What if you hit an O with nothing selected? Does it do the whole scene? Show the whole scene, or?
I don't remember. It's one of those things which, I try to avoid storing that information. I have limited capacity in my brain. So yeah, I would test it. I can switch Cinema 4D and test it. But because I'm running the audio recording software, I'm not touching anything. Yeah, I'd rather avoid switching to anything else now while this is recording. But anyway, yeah, just try it. Deselect everything and press O. See what happens.
What else do you use on a regular basis?
What is in terms of shortcuts? That's a good question. Shift F6 to bring up the picture viewer but I can't see the buttons, so I press Shift and whatever, and sometimes it comes up, sometimes it doesn't, and then I go to the menu. Yeah, it's a very Command C, Command V. It's a very and Command Z and Command U. Yeah, undo and redo. I think undo and redo is my my favorite shortcut.
S is honestly like my favorite thing to talk about because so many people don't utilize S, and you will jump around in Cinema 4D so much faster.
Oh yeah,
if you know how to use that S key. That's the big thing. What about mapping things? If there was something that you would like to map to a key that you can't do right now, what would you do?
Oh, unfortunately, I don't allow myself to think in those terms because I need to work with vanilla Cinema 4D to teach people. So even if I had to do it, I would never do it because it kind of distracts me from the normal workflow. And it's one of those things I always use a standard interface, and I always use the standard shortcuts and all that. And it's because I need to be, always aware of how things are. So if sometimes someone, a friend or a colleague text Skypes me and says, how do I do that? I close my eyes and I say, okay, go to that menu, do that, do this, do that. And that's because I kind of got the interface recorded. If I start messing with these things, I'm totally screwed. I need to change profession. The other thing that people don't know are the sticky keys, which are extremely, extremely useful. And for example, L switches to the axes tool. But if you press and hold L, while you're holding it, that's a sticky key. So you move the axes and then you remove it and you don't have to press it again. So with the sticky keys, if you press a shortcut, a single key shortcut, and keep it pressed, then that shortcut is only active while you keep the button pressed. When you release it, it's going to go back to the previous one.
Oh, okay. Oh, I like that.
It's been there for like 12 years. But anyhow, you learn something every day.
Every day, man. Every day. There's so many. You'll never learn. No one can ever learn everything in cinema. It's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Rick Barrett knows everything.
Yeah. Max on Rick.
Yes.
Also, this email, this is a quick one. This is from Michael Darlington, who the subject is Luminous. I recently moved to Cinema 4D R20. My order worked using the Light Kit 1.4 and R19, but version 4 does not work in experimental 2018. I was wondering if it works in that. The answer is no. We don't support beta versions of anything right now. It'd just be way too much trouble to have to try and do that. So, and we don't know where we're going with that. So, all right. I think it's time to switch gears a little bit and get out our Beeple viewer of choice and do some Beeple's people.
Yay.
You'll just have to pardon the noise of the people blowing leaves around in the air just so they can land again in the same place so that they can do it again next week, all behind me, because that's what they're doing back there. All right. So take out your Beeple viewer of choice, and we're going to go to March 5th, year of our Lord 2019. And I'm going to pull this up right here. I like to use Twitter for my Beeple viewing pleasure, and I'm gonna bring this one up here. It's called Little Help.
Help. That's cool.
Very cool looking piece. I love what's being done here. Matt, Matt, I'm gonna let you take this over while it gets super loud here for a second.
No, I mean it's a really cool piece. I don't know. This almost looks like a sketch, like straight up an illustration. I wonder if he's messing more with like Arnold outline sketch materials and stuff like that. I don't know. What do you think, Thanasis?
All right. So, are you aware of Enki Bilal?
No.
Enki Bilal. So, I'm going to copy and paste it in the. So, this is a comic artist from my era. And not only him, there are this style of comic was quite very common in Europe and South America.
Okay.
And
A lot of colored pencil sketches and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's if you look at the style, and there's one more. Let me think. I'm getting old, so one.
This almost has like a watercolory feel to it, you know?
Yes, it's not big enough. So let me find. Anyway, if you look at old European comics, sci-fi, and stuff like that, you will find this type of style kind of prominent. Now, how Mike did this?
I'm thinking Arnold.
Very good question.
I need to find out.
Yeah, I mean,
it could be octane,
more ways
but...
it can be anything. This could be anything. All modern renderers can produce these results.
Yeah.
What I find fascinating now, this is the thing. When I look at stuff that Mike makes and so forth, the last thing I care about is his actual technique, because they're so beautiful and interesting, and they have all these little details to them, and even the original ideas like the emoji wars and all that. I find them extremely interesting. So I have never really contemplated, how did he do this? Because I'm more interested in what he's showing out there. Now, judging from our own node system, most path tracers and renderers can actually create sorts of outlines in some sense. Now, how big can I make this? Let me just because I'm watching it on the live feed. Let me just bring up.
You have to bring up your Beeple viewer of choice.
I need to bring up my Beeple viewer of choice, which is his own website, and let me see what happens here.
What about March 4th? What's the deal with March 4th?
Did you see it? What's going on? Like, his stuff is looking... that's insane. Is that a render or is that a picture? That's got to be a picture.
No, that's a render.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I mean, the eyes are too big to be like a picture of a person.
That looks so good.
Yeah.
I'm kind of lost. Which one are you talking about?
This is March 5th, Year of Our Lord 2019.
Oh, where do I see that? I see the everydays, but it says round 13. Is it the last?
It's got a little help. It's 4 or 5 days ago, I guess.
March.
Look 8, at Skype.
9.
Dave's sharing it on Skype.
Well,
the one. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just saying it's too hard to see it.
Oh.
Over Skype.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So March the 5th.
Yeah.
This one. Okay. So what a open image in new window. Sorry, there we go. So now
because there is 3D information in here, and I'm really curious about.
Oh yeah, it is 3D because you can see the polygonization.
Yeah.
On the rock on the bottom left, you can see those little triangles. Those are let's say artifacts, not artifacts, but lines created by Sketch and Toon or an equivalent. Yeah, interesting. See, now you're forcing me to look into something I would never want.
See, the thing is, like, the reason in this case people want to know about like what render engine is because they want to know it's not necessarily easy to create this kind of thing, and although a lot of render engines can do this, there's some that are better at this than others.
Yeah,
and I think that's why people want to know.
The octane toon shader versus the Arnold toon shader versus the Sketch and Toon, they all produce a pretty different result, and
they can all be good in their own way, you know. But sometimes you want to create this effect and you want it to be the path of least resistance in order to figure out how to do something like this. And there are some that are way better than others at this.
Yeah.
So I would have no problem reproducing this in any renderer. What I could never do is come up with the idea. So you see the difference. I see things. I admire. This is a soldier of sorts, like some sort of paratrooper, someone they jumped out of the plane or something like that, or their spaceship or whatnot kind of sunk there, and they're helping each other in some world, and they're wearing casual shoes, which kind of doesn't make sense. But, in the future,
no, they weren't expecting to have to bail. See, they were floating along comfortably in space, and something went wrong.
Yes,
didn't have time to put on those moon boots.
So that's the interesting part. How Mike did this, I don't really care. It looks nice. I mean, the speckles. So a lot of people sometimes say, how do we put these random specks and all that? Well, you can always frontal project it, kind of paint it in Photoshop if you want. I mean,
I think he always puts a little bit of Photoshop on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Precisely, and you can even do so. One technique that I've used a couple of times in projects I did a long time ago was you would do a very quick and dirty render. Then you would take that render and do some stuff in Photoshop, and then just frontal project it on your object, and it will project around. I mean, that is
That's a neat idea.
It's one of the techniques that is used, whether it's a reprojection. I mean, I do a couple of projects a year. One of the projects is car reprojections. So a company sends me a Photoshop image of the final retouched image of a truck or a car, and those are the reflections. Everything I want is fixed in that Photoshop image, and I get a model of that particular car, and I simplify the geometry, project the Photoshop image from that angle after I match the angle, do any perspective corrections, because sometimes in Photoshop they change the perspective of the images to make them look better. So it's been distorted in a certain way. And once I've got the angle, I do a slight rotation, like 20 or 30 degrees. So I get a still image and I create a slightly animated version of it. That is just a reprojection technique. So it's a very valid technique to take your source 3D, render it from your final view, take that rendering in Photoshop and start adding all the artistic parts you want, and just reproject it on your 3D art, and then add a bit more lighting to control it. And you're just, using 3D in a more 2D traditional way. Just the same way a photographer or a painter may take a photo of something and project it on his canvas and go over and paint it. I mean, artists use these techniques all the time. They've been used for hundreds and hundreds of years, all sorts of techniques with camera obscuras and all that. So, yeah. I mean, and again, the last thing I would even think about when I'm looking at one of Michael's stuff is how did he do it? It's mostly, wow, how did he come up with this bloody thing? Yeah.
Well,
but anyway,
if you go to March 8th to Binary Orthodox, check this one out, because this is very much kind of the 2018 Beeple style.
Yeah.
This is the people, like the soldiers and the people worshiping gods. It's very much 2018 Beeple. And I like the title too, Binary Orthodox. It's like it's almost like a digital religion of some sort. And who are they worshiping? That's great, because you always see these people as from the opposite angle. It's from behind, so you don't know what they look like. It's always this mystery. That's what I love about that. And then you have these guys down here in the corner that kind of look like, Metroid something or other. I don't know.
This is an interesting illustrative style. This looks like water painting or something like that.
Yeah, I was noticing that. If you look around the lights, you see that kind of watercolor look.
Yep.
Yeah. And same with the background and stuff. I'm wondering how much of it is 3D and not. You look at this, there's kind of a hazy line right here, about 2/3 of the way up. And I'm wondering how much of that is Photoshop, photograph, not necessarily rendered. Or maybe something that was rendered separately and layered in, And,
I guess we'll ask Mike when we see him next time.
That's right. I can't wait. And then lastly is March 10th. This is great. This is great. This is the latest one. This is called Pooh Boss.
So good.
Man.
Yeah, I saw that actually today.
That's great. I love that. I love that he's got his shirt off and his like belly and stuff sticking out, and he's got his chains, you know.
There needs to be like a big pot of honey, though. You know, like I feel like there should be a big pot of honey.
Yeah.
Maybe the person in front of him is the honey producer, and he's saying that actually something went wrong, and he's like, "What? No honey?" And the dog is ready to, you know, to attack.
He's like, "I'm going to spare your life, but someday I will come back for a favor."
Something like that.
Something like that. I learned from Noseman that I must tell you, I'm going to ask for a favor in the coming years.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, if you approach asking for a favor, you have to know.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse. That was my Marlon Brando meets Pooh Bear. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's pretty good. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, great stuff from my.
Come to me on the day of my piglet's wedding.
Come to me.
My piglet's
I'm out of here for 3 minutes. I'll be back.
Okay. Well, in that time, it would be a good time for me
and you don't even have the gall to call me Godfather.
Oh my gosh.
See, you don't know these lines because you've never seen The Godfather.
Oh my gosh. I've seen clips of all the good parts.
No.
So, I guess this would be a good time to talk about the fact that we have a new shirt that is available now on Amazon. It is the Render Things long sleeve, which we've been talking about.
Yay.
Anything we need to talk about for NAB coming up? Pretty soon we're going to have a conversation about what to do at NAB. I think that'll probably be on the Smearballs episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he will be
I think they're
April
announcing
1st.
I think they might be announcing some people here in the next few
yes,
maybe.
The lineup. I can't wait.
I don't know.
I keep like getting so excited
maybe
about
in
the lineup.
Next week, maybe it's 2 weeks, but I would keep your ears out because they're going to be making the announcement
out,
soon.
or else you won't hear. That is true.
Right.
That is true. Don't forget to sign up for the Slack. That's Brograph.com/Slack. I don't know. I'm just stalling here until Noseman
G-Rant
comes back.
says we have a new series we have to do. It's Brando Poo. So
oh my gosh.
every episode I now need to find a good quote from Marlon Brando. Do my Pooh Bear.
Speaking of Brando
Make
Poo,
him an offer I can't refuse.
That's where Noseman is gone.
That was more of a Tigger.
Oh my gosh. It's all falling apart. It's all over now. All we're waiting on is for Noseman to come back so we can finish the episode.
So that we can say bye.
He's finishing his Brando Poo.
Brando quotes.
His Brando Poo. I think Brando Poo is the show title. I'm going to write this down. I always forget to write down the show title. Brando Poo. All right. That's done. Noseman, where are you?
Revenge is a dish best served cold.
Oh my gosh. No, honey is.
Honey's a dish best served cold.
Oh my gosh, you're sounding more like Towley at this point. Yeah. Don't forget to bring some honey.
And I'm back.
I can't believe it was him all along.
What did I miss?
Yeah. Nothing much.
You talk about vengeance. Is vengeance going to bring your son back to you or your boy to me?
Oh my gosh.
And is that Marlon Brando? Who's that?
Any news on Mograph.com?
Well, all the stuff we talked about at the beginning of the show. But
yeah. So we're gonna be
rewind.
transferring over to the live streams and stuff, to the Mograph branding and stuff like that. There's gonna be a lot to come here. We'll have some stuff for you relatively soon, and then we're gonna be rolling out more over the rest of the year. So just stay tuned.
True dat. All right. If people want to find you online, Noseman, where do they find you?
Just Google Noseman.
Easy enough, right?
But don't Google Noseman, KNOWS man.
Why?
No.
Don't do that because you won't
guys,
get
it's on
to
the
you.
screen. It's on the screen. Noseman.org.
Oh,
anyway,
that's right.
if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at NosemanGR, one word. Noseman Greek. Because the actual Noseman A gentleman from Japan has it. He hasn't tweeted for 7 years, but he's still active according to Twitter. Which, I have no.
If you have any information on that kind of thing, let us know off air.
No. I mean, Noseman GR is good enough for me. Yes. So, if you just follow me, tell your aunties, uncles, friends, kids to follow me as well. I just need the follow count to rise. And when I get to a critical point, I'll just close down my account. And,
sure.
Yeah.
Do it.
A move of extreme vanity. Like, I don't need this anymore.
Cool. Well, we appreciate you being on. We can't wait to hang out with you, have a bunch of whiskey.
Like what?
Whiskey down MGM.
Yes.
That's always a good time. Whiskey with Noseman.
Should we mention the karaoke party that might be happening?
I don't think that any of that is even. It's just an inkling at this point.
We're inkling at a karaoke party. So just.
Are you talking about Tuesday night?
Yes.
Okay. The limos are booked.
We have booked limos. So if you're coming to the pinball party, we booked 2 this year.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's gonna be funny.
Yeah, we got the same one as last year. It doesn't hold quite as many people, but we got that and a Hummer. I have no idea how we're gonna work out, like who's gonna get on board and
first
stuff.
Come, first serve, yo.
Oh man, there's gonna be a fight.
Yeah.
And then there might be something going on after. So
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. All right, you can rate us on iTunes, leave a review. It helps get our ratings up. You can also subscribe to us on your podcatcher of choice, because that also helps to get our ratings up and get the word out there and spread the word. You can subscribe to our newsletter, which barely ever goes out, and hopefully will soon. We'll have some fun, interesting information coming out very soon, so check that out. Or just go to mograph.com and sign up on there for updates. You can check out all the t-shirts. You can say you've been there, done that with the No Brograph, No Mograph shirt, which is going to be limited edition here pretty soon. It's going to go away, so make sure you get your vintage Brograph shirt. And everything at NAB, by the way, is all Mograph. So no more Brograph at that point. So
don't call us the Brograph guys.
Nope.
We're the Mograph people.
Right. And so there's that tee. There's the Gate and D. Simone limited edition shirt. There's the Paul Babb Field of Babb 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders. That shirt's just going to keep on going on now more than ever.
We need them now more than ever.
And like I said, the Render Thing shirt is now a shirt, hoodie, and long sleeve shirt. I love all the long sleeve shirts we sell.
Yeah.
Super comfortable, super light. You can roll the sleeves up if you're too warm and get a little chilly. You can roll them back down. It's perfect for the spring and the fall. Yeah.
If you're a hipster, you can put it on your shoulders. Yeah, so many ways. Yeah, you can wear that
while you're drinking your Pabst Blue Ribbon. So yeah.
All right.
And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Brograph.com, Twitch, and all the stuff and things. And that about wraps it up.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Always an honor to be here and chat with you guys. Hope I didn't bore you to death, but if I did change anything, including boredom,
bombs, truth bombs, all that stuff. So.
And of course, everyone who was here and watching live and listening live, and everyone that's going to listen to this in the future, thanks for wasting your time that way.
All right, well, we're going to get out of here. Till next week, I am Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm noseman.org.
Have a good one.
Later, bros. Sorry, I was looking up Vito Corleone quotes.
Squirrel.
Listen, whoever comes to you with this Balzini meeting, he's a traitor. Don't forget that. Your father loves you very much. Very much.
So, tell me when to stop the recording.
You can stop the recording. We're still live, though.
I know. But the recording is... you're not going to use this portion?
No, we will not use this portion.
Can you still hear me, everyone? I'm still here. Okay,
Balzini will move against you first.
Okay, so let's see what happened here. I'm going to save this before I move anything. Oops.
Yes.
Which episode is this?
I just saved a photo.
175.
All right.
It was 175.
Okay.
Let me turn off the
Oh, man, that was so funny.